What is up, everyone? This is the 1ND podcast. I'm your host, Vikash, and I'm joined with my co host.
Hey, my name is Sagar, and today we're going to be talking about the NFL playoffs, and we're going to be giving you our predictions.
All right, just jump right into it, shall we?
Yeah, I think we should start with the six seeds and who they're playing against. So in that case, we have the Vikings and the Saints, and the Titans and the Patriots.
All right.
What do you think about the Titans and Patriots game?
That is a tough one, honestly. I don't think the Titans can pull through. I think I've got the Patriots going, but I do think it will be a closer game than one would expect.
This is a really close one. If it was on a neutral field, I'd probably give it to the Titans. But since it's the Patriots and they have home field, I think I'm going to have to go with the Patriots as well.
Ooh, you're switching it up, I see.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was with the Titans, but then when I remembered, Patriots have the third seed, and it's at Foxborough, there's no way the Titans are going to win that game.
I wouldn't say there's no way. I do think there's a chance. Ryan Tannehill's been balling, but the X factor has been Derrick Henry. I mean, we know that the Patriots will try to take away that X factor. They're going to try and stop the run, but at the same time, the last few times they've played good teams with good running backs, like the Ravens, I think they didn't even do well against the Browns. Like, I'm not sure if they can even stop the man.
I mean, that's a valid point, just because everyone talks about the Patriots' defense being good and Stephon Gilmore being potentially Defensive Player of the Year, but their secondary is better than their line, so I would agree with you that they may want to stop Derrick Henry, but they may not be able to.
I don't think they will. But also, that Stephon Gilmore and A.J. Brown matchup is going to be an interesting one. I will say, Stephon Gilmore just got burned by Devontae Parker in Week 17. So either that'll add fuel to the fire for Gilmore and he'll do better, or it's a sign of things to come.
Yeah, I mean, Gilmore got cooked against Devontae Parker, and that again shows you, like, Devontae Parker has basically revived his career. So let's see what happens with that one. I think so.
Devontae.
We both have the Patriots going and winning that game, right? You
Looks
think
like
it'll
we
be
do.
close? I don't. You're kind of changing my mind. You're making me think it's going to be close, but I'm going to stick with the Patriots as well.
Well, the thing I think of as well, the Titans, are peaking right now offensively, and the
They are,
Patriots are not. The Patriots are looking low. They don't have any like flow in the offense like they usually do. They don't look like the Patriots of old. I mean, it is playoff Brady. That's a completely different monster, but I do think it'll be interesting. I do also think Devin McCourty will also be huge because the Titans have been getting huge chunk plays, and that's how they're getting down the field. And I think if Devin McCourty can stop those chunk plays, that'll give the Patriots the edge.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. And the whole playoff Tom Brady thing, I understand. But if that were true, you think he would have done better against the Ravens. And considering that they were playing for a home field and a bye in the playoffs, you think, Tom Brady would be better in Week 17 against the Dolphins. And I understand that, it was a game-winning drive at the end of the game. But I feel like if Tom Brady had it in him, he would have stepped up and made sure to win that game.
I don't disagree. I also have to say the Titans have not played any good defenses this season.
No,
They've
not
played
at
good
all.
teams. They've beat the Chiefs. But I think the big reason why Ryan Tannehill is thriving, he is good, but I do think it's a product of the defenses that they've played.
Yeah, and I think, again, it'll come down to Derrick Henry and whether they can stop him. If they can't, it'll be easier for Tannehill. If they can, yeah, I don't think he'll do that well against that Patriots secondary.
Yeah, so it looks like we both have the Patriots going forward. You want to move on to the Vikings and the Saints?
Yeah, I think we'll both agree with this one too. I'm gonna give it to the Saints.
Ooh,
Oh, you're going with the Vikings?
of course not.
Okay, I was gonna say the one concern is that Kirk Cousins is playing, and it's gonna be in an indoor stadium. It's gonna be at the Mercedes Dome, so I don't think he's gonna be bad. But it's kind of like a mixed bag. You don't know if he's going to be the Kirk Cousins who was in the MVP conversation, or if the one who couldn't complete routine passes down the field to Diggs and Thielen, and they even called him out on it early in the season. So it depends. I think the biggest factor in this game is going to be which Kirk Cousins is going to show up.
I was about to say, you saying Kirk Cousins will be the X factor. I don't know, man. Kirk Cousins does not perform in high leverage games. What's his record on night games? 1-9.
I think in Monday Night Football games, yeah, it's like 2-8 or 1-9. It's pretty.
That's crazy.
It's pretty bad.
I will say this is a rematch game, although rather than this game being played in Minneapolis, where the Minneapolis Miracle happened, this will be in New Orleans. Drew Brees will undoubtedly produce. Xavier Rhodes has been uncharacteristically bad this season.
He's been really terrible this season.
He'll have a difficult time with Michael Thomas. And Alvin Kamara has just peaked. He has started scoring touchdowns. Latavius Murray is on a roll. That's a tough task for even the Vikings defense.
Yeah, those are good points. Also, Dalvin Cook is coming off his injury. He was fully participating in practice. So having him back will be huge. And let's see how the Saints defense can contain them, especially with the threats they have. Dalvin Cook is a top 5 running back for sure. Thielen and Diggs, if healthy, are probably top 5 wide receiver duos in the league this year. And maybe if Michael Thomas is covered and Xavier Rhodes shows up, who's going to be the second receiver on the Saints who's going to, make those big plays?
Almost anyone. Jared Cook's actually been thriving as of late. He has been one of the best tight ends in the league.
He's a veteran,
a veteran catching touchdowns, getting those chunk plays. He has the speed. He has the height. He can high point a ball.
Experience does matter in the playoffs. So
definitely. I will say the Vikings will be at full force. I do think Dalvin Cook, he probably could have played Week 17, but they decided to rest him.
Their Week 17 matchup was, you could tell that they were not too concerned about that game. It didn't matter if they won or lost.
Right, the starters were all resting.
Yeah, exactly. So they're healthy in that sense.
Exactly.
So do you think it's going to be a close game, or do you think it's going to be like a blowout? I think it's going to be closer than some people think.
I'll have to disagree. Drew Brees is goated. This man is the most unlucky quarterback of all time. He has had some of the worst defenses of all. He has had the worst defenses of all time. He's had the Minneapolis Miracle. He's had the missed pass interference, which sparked a brand new rule this entire season. It'll take another miracle to beat Drew Brees, and I think he's going to score quite a few points this game.
Okay. I'm going to disagree and say it's going to be close. I think Kirk Cousins will finally show up. He's going to connect with Diggs and Thielen, and with Dalvin Cook at running back, I think they can score some points.
I have a little tidbit for you.
What's up?
Do you know the last 13-win team to have to play in the wild card round?
I'm not sure. Who?
It was in 2011. Does that help? It was the Saints.
It was the Saints?
It was the Saints.
Okay. Ooh. And they were 13-3?
They were.
That means the NFC was loaded back then as well.
Correct.
Man. Okay.
This will be an interesting game, but I do think the Saints have it by at least 10.
Ooh, 10. Ooh, I think it's going to be like a close game, maybe like a 3-point spread. It may come down to a field goal. In my opinion.
Drew Brees games tend to be close in the playoffs.
Yeah.
To say the least.
I guess we can move on to the other NFC game then. We can do the Seahawks and Eagles.
Ooh.
And so Seahawks, even though they have a better record, will be playing on the road against the Eagles. And this will actually be Carson Wentz's first playoff game. So he's at 0-0. We'll see what he does. I think that the Eagles are hot right now. I think they're on a 4-game win streak. But you have to keep in mind that the division they're in is not good. They've played some really not even mediocre teams. They've been pretty terrible teams. Who did they play? They played the Giants. I think the best record team that they played against was the Cowboys, who were at the time 8-8.
Well, now they're 8-8.
No, now they're 8-8.
The
After that game, they were 7-8. So again, below 500. So I think they're playing on a streak right now, and they can be dangerous. But I'm gonna give it to the Seahawks.
This game and the Bills and Texans game are the toughest games to predict, I think. Just because both teams are injured. The lack of a run game severely hurts the Seahawks. The only reason that the Seahawks beat the Eagles earlier in the regular season was because of their run game. Rashad Penny had 14 carries and 129 yards, along with a touchdown. It was a close game, I believe 17-9. Russell Wilson has not looked great. He didn't look great in the game against the Eagles. He has not looked great in the past few games. I will say, Wilson does do wonders. He does do wonders in the fourth quarter, namely. Marshawn Lynch started to get it going. The Eagles' secondary has been their weak point, but Wilson did not take advantage of that the first time around. And there's a steep fall for the Seahawks in terms of their receivers after DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I think their next highest receiver, I couldn't even tell you, if I'm being honest. Is it Josh Gordon, maybe? Who's gone? The losses of Josh Gordon, Will Dissly, Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, that puts the Seahawks in such a tough spot.
Yeah, I really think that if the Seahawks win, I mean, I'm just putting all my faith in Russell Wilson. He's probably going to finish second in the MVP voting. He has to play basically a perfect game, but I think he can pull it off, especially given the Eagles' questionable secondary. They still haven't really established too many players on their offense. I know that they're short on running back. They have no deep threats. I forget who's the new person, the wide receiver who did really well against Dallas.
I could not tell you.
Again, yeah, exactly, proving the point that they're playing with third stringers and people from the practice squad. So I think they'll come back down to earth. I think Wilson will have like a career-defining game, and I think he'll pull it off.
One thing I disagree with you is with Russell Wilson being second in the MVP voting, he has not performed as of late. I think that drops him off. Just like Stephon Gilmore, I think he lost Defensive Player of the Year in Week 17 with that terrible performance against Devontae Parker. I don't think Russell Wilson has thrown for over 200 yards in the past 2 or 3 games.
Okay.
And in the previous game against the Eagles, he did not perform well. I will say, though, Nelson Aguilar is expected to miss the game, and I think that is likely to the delight of Eagles fans.
Yeah, I think that's what they wanted to hear.
And I did read that Quandre Diggs will likely play, which is a huge boost to
Quandre Diggs was a major acquisition they made. I don't know why Detroit traded him, but they did, and I think he's going to be a difference maker on that defense.
He will be. Jadeveon Clowney may play. That's not for certain. Miles Sanders, however, he has looked great in previous games. He'll play a big part in this game. Both teams being injured, it's tough for me to make a decision. I still even have question mark on my spreadsheet. But I was leaning Hawks.
You're leaning Seahawks?
Yes.
So I think we're pretty much in agreement with our first 3 picks.
Yes. This last one may be a tough one. You want to move on to Bills and Texans?
You mentioned Gilmore, and I would say that this season Tre'Davious White is probably the better corner, in my opinion.
Didn't we just have an argument a few days ago about this?
Yeah, and again, I think Tre'Davious White is the better corner, and I still think DeAndre Hopkins can make an impact.
Okay, I see.
And that may be my bias, having him on my fantasy team coming out, but I do think DeAndre Hopkins will have somewhat of a game. Again, it depends on what kind of defensive scheme the Bills use. Again, they may just put White on Hopkins the entire game, leaving other weapons that Deshaun Watson has open, like Will Fuller, for example. And he's been implementing his tight ends a lot this season as well. They've had some great impact on the team, especially with scoring. But if I were to pick between these two teams, I'm going to go with the Bills. I think Josh Allen using his legs will be a big factor. I think that John Brown is a good weapon. And I do think that Tre'Davious White will have a defensive impact.
I will say we are both John Brown stans.
Yes.
That will never change. Man, you really switched it up on me. I thought you were going to go Titans, and I thought you were going to go Texans. I also went Bills. I do think Watson will have a tough time against this Bills secondary. Although, Watson, he does have great games against great teams. I do think that it'll be a closer game. But Devin Singletary has been great this season, and I think he can take advantage of that Texans line. I think the Texans, they have proven they can win big games. They've beaten the Pats. They've beaten the Chiefs. But the Bills have only given up more than 20 points in 4 games this season to the Pats, the Ravens, the Dolphins, and the Eagles. Only one of those not a playoff team, and the Dolphins have a great offense. This, honestly, is a tough game to predict, but I will go with the Bills.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much in agreement there.
Well, this is no fun. Literally no debate.
I mean, I think we'll have some differences in our next predictions for sure.
Most definitely, there's a lot of bias going into a lot of these picks.
Yes.
I will say, I am a Steelers and Bucks fan, but my favorite quarterback is Drew Brees, and I love Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm all over the place. What can I say? I'm national.
I love Jimmy Garoppolo as well. You're definitely a Drew Brees stan. I mean, I can't really say much about the Colts. We had a terrible, terrible run. They did not run the table as I thought and I predicted. So I really have no right to say anything about those. And then again, Jameis Winston is the GOAT. I'll say that now. He eliminates
kind of ruining our football credibility right now.
Eliminate those interceptions, and he's top 5.
That is a fact. No, he's top 1.
Okay, so now let's move on to if our picks go as we planned, then we would have the Saints against the Packers. We'd have the Patriots against the Chiefs. We'd have the Hawks against the Niners in another rematch. And then we would have the Bills against the Ravens. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with the juicy matchup. Patriots and Chiefs.
You think that's going to be juicy? I think that's going to be lopsided. I think the Patriots are going to get the brakes beaten off of them.
I do think Kansas City will win this game, but I think it's going to be closer than everyone thinks.
I think this will be a blowout.
Every time everyone predicts the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Patriots, yet the Patriots always pull through somehow, some way. I think they'll lean on their defense, the Patriots will. I think last time they played them, I believe Tyreek Hill only had 1 reception. Did he get injured? I don't remember. They have a very similar team to what they had the previous season. I'm not sure if LaShawn McCoy is going to play. Damian Williams has looked great, but the Patriots didn't do much against... I mean, they limited him. I believe he got a touchdown, but that was a close game last year. The Patriots, they don't have the weapons that they did, but their defense is better than it was.
Their defense is better than it was, but even the Chiefs' defense, if you've been looking over the last few weeks, they've been on a pretty good run. They've been surprisingly doing well. And again, if you give Patrick Mahomes the help he needs on defense, he was the MVP last year, and I think he's going to pull it off. Again, the Chiefs will have home field advantage. I think that'll impact the point spread for sure. And then again, Tom Brady does not look like any semblance of Tom Brady from last year. I think it's over for him. I think he moves on from the Patriots after the season, and I definitely give him no chance, especially given the weapons he has. I mean, who is his best receiver? Edelman?
Yeah.
And who's after that? I mean, you have Ben Watson on your team. He's probably your best tight end, and he's almost 40 years old. So it's a joke. I think Sonny Michel, while he's a good back, I think he's slightly overrated. I don't think he'll be effective.
But you're not mentioning your boy.
Yeah, no, James White will make an impact. But again, he's, like a 5'10" running back. He's not that heavy. He doesn't power run.
James White is definitely a difference maker. And if we are going to mention the Kansas City Chiefs and their surprisingly great defense, we have to mention that Patrick Mahomes has not looked like himself recently. I don't know how he'll do against the Patriots defense. I did say I do think the Chiefs will win. I do think it's going to be closer than people think.
No, I think this is going to be a blowout. I think this will be at least 10 points.
Okay. I'd say a blowout is 2 plus touchdowns.
2 plus touchdowns? Okay, so what are you thinking? How much do you think the Chiefs will win by?
I'll take the Kansas City Chiefs by 7.
So just by a touchdown?
By 1 touchdown.
Okay, okay, you said it's 2 plus touchdowns? I'll give it to you. I'll say they'll beat them by at least 14. I think it'll be a blowout.
Interesting.
I really do.
Well, moving on, I believe. So let's just go to the next AFC game because we know who we're going to predict for that. Bills at Ravens. Who's going to win that one?
I think, that's fairly obvious. Do we even need to say it?
Yes, the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, just for formality, yeah. I think the Ravens win.
Yeah.
I think Lamar Jackson makes up for his previous playoff performance. where the fans actually started chanting that they wanted Flacco back. So I think he'll come out on a mission, show that, even in the playoffs, he'll continue his MVP run, showing everyone just how good he is. I think that's a fairly simple game to predict.
Very simple. I do think the Bills will give it their all. They'll definitely they'll put up some points. I don't know if they can cover John Brown very well. They have a great secondary, but John Brown is a difference maker.
Yes, he is.
Josh Allen just needs to make the throws, and we know he has an arm. Is it an accurate arm is the question. He has legs. So does Devin Singletary. They'll do some damage, but I don't think they can get it done.
Okay, yeah, I think we're pretty much in agreement. This game should be pretty... I think most people will predict the Ravens. I don't know anyone who would think the Bills.
All right, let's give a score. Let's give a score just to make it interesting.
42-10.
Oh, my Lanta. I will bet you money right now that won't happen.
I mean, that was kind of bold. That was kind of a hot take. No, I do think that the Ravens will beat them by a fairly solid margin. I would say, again, at least 2 touchdowns.
I'm going to give a score. I'll say 35-28.
Ooh, again, a touchdown.
I take it back.
Okay.
I don't even believe that myself.
Yeah, I think you're being a little generous there.
All right, 35-21.
You know what? I think the Ravens will score in the mid-30s, if not 40s, just because of how potent their offense is. And given their defense, I think I would say, let's see. Yeah, 35 to, I think they'll score like 21 points at the most. 35-21.
I do think one thing we're not considering is that Bills secondary. They can shut some people down. I do think the spread that Lamar Jackson has, he spreads it around a lot. That will give them trouble.
Especially his running game.
Oh, of course. That's the reason they're going to win the game. The running game is unmatched.
Yep.
And the Bills won't have an answer for that.
Okay. What are the other games? You want to talk about the Saints and Packers?
I hope we don't have the same prediction for that.
I think we do. You already know.
Oh, well, okay.
As I stated earlier, I think the Packers are going to be a disappointment. I think their defense is overrated. Aaron Rodgers has not looked as good as he has, but I think he'll show you what he can do in the playoffs. But again, I'm giving it to the Saints. The one concern I have,
what you got.
The one concern I have is that this will be at the Packers, so it'll be at Lambeau Field. And given how Drew Brees relies on his accuracy and the weather conditions, especially in the colder months, that could be a factor that plays into how well Drew Brees performs. But despite that, I think the Saints are going to pull this off.
Bro, you already know Drew Brees goated. He's going to win this game. This is going to be closer than I do think.
It'll be a close game.
I think you will, because I do think the Packers have a surprisingly good secondary. I don't think they can contain Michael Thomas and the rest of the Saints receivers. I don't think they can contain Alvin Kamara. That being said, I do think the Packers will score pretty well. I do think Devontae Adams will do fairly well. He hasn't done great the past few games, but this is playoffs. He'll have a week of rest. He'll be going against a decent Saints secondary. I don't know if the Saints can stop Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. So we'll see about that. But I do think the Saints take this by 14.
By 14? Ooh, I think it's going to be within a field goal. Because I think this game is where home field advantage has the most impact. Given how Drew Brees plays in the dome most of the year, and given how the Packers are acclimated to the climate, especially up north at Lambeau Field, given their fans, I think all that in combination will provide a huge support for the Packers. So I think this is going to be a really close game. And
everything leaned towards the Packers, definitely.
Yeah.
The Packers' only loss at Lambeau was against the Eagles this season, so
yeah. And so
it'll definitely be an interesting game. However, Drew Brees goated.
I think Drew Brees will be good, but I think the key is for Alvin Kamara to be good. They have to establish the run game given the climate. And if they do that, I think Drew Brees will show you why he's Drew Brees, and they'll come out on top. Again, I think it's going to be a really close game within 3 points.
Okay.
So are we, until now, 100% in agreement?
Well, I totally thought you were going to go with the Titans and Texans because before today I thought you said that. Darn it. I would have just predicted something else just to throw us, some debate in here, but literally we're agreeing on everything.
I mean, I had to think about it. I was going to go with the Titans, but then I thought, hey, you know what? It's Patriots at home. It's Tom Brady. You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Well, I
coming
think
into
we
Foxborough,
also
it's a tough task.
we also know who we're gonna pick for the fourth game.
You think so?
I think so. I don't think you'll go against the 49ers. I will say Pete Carroll may have Kyle Shanahan's number, but with all the injuries that are on the team, the Seahawks will be rejuvenated on
you're gonna
defense.
talk about that game?
Oh yeah, I mean we're well past the
okay.
Saints and Packers at this point.
Yeah.
Obviously this is the third time they're playing this season, but it'll take some patented Russell Wilson fourth quarter magic to make this even close, in my opinion.
Yeah, once again, like you mentioned, running backs are out for the season. Will Disley, who was a surprise this season, out with the Achilles. I think the Niners have everything set up for them. Their defense has come back strong. They rested their players. Their line looks healthy. Richard Sherman should be back. He was out for a couple games. I think he played Week 17. And then again, with Raheem Mostert being such a surprise this season, taking over the backfield.
Raheem the Dream.
Exactly. I think he'll be a difference maker. And I think this game would have been close and very interesting to watch if the Seahawks were at full health. But given all their injuries, I think the Niners will come out with this game very solidly. I think it'll be a solid win. If I were to give a point prediction, I think given the defense being healthy again, will limit the Seahawks, especially given their injuries, to maybe under 20 points. And I think the Niners will score 28. So I'd say the final score in this game will be somewhere around 28-17.
I do think that the Seahawks will figure something out by this time on offense. I think they'll get a run game going. They'll have a game under their belt in the wild card game. Maybe one of their running backs will get it going. The Seahawks are also getting great players back on their defense. By this time, Clowney should definitely be back. Diggs should definitely be back. So these were players that were not playing Week 17 versus the Niners. And the Niners, they were pretty much at full force. I will say Emmanuel Sanders, he looks like he's still recovering, but I'm biased, but I love Emmanuel Sanders. I think he'll be the difference maker in this game. Can't forget to talk about George Kittle. That man is a monster. I don't think the Seahawks can contain him.
No, not at all.
This will be an interesting game. I'll say Niners win. Let's say 33-28.
Oh, so you're gonna think it's a close game? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that leaves us with the championship games for each division.
This, I believe, is where we will differ.
I think this is where we finally differ. So, you want to talk about the Ravens and Chiefs?
Sure. You want to start?
Okay, I'll start. I think Lamar Jackson will continue his MVP run against the Chiefs. The Chiefs' defense has looked good, but I don't think they've seen anything like Lamar Jackson this season. They saw him earlier in the year, but given how well they're flowing right now, I think the Ravens will take revenge and win this game.
Okay. I think you're wrong.
Okay, tell me why.
I think the Chiefs take this game. I think everything makes me want to go with the Ravens, but the Chiefs, I believe they've been flying under the radar somehow.
They have been flying under the radar, even though
nobody's been talking about
them. They're 12-4. They're the second seed.
They've got a bye, and nobody's talking about them. It's crazy. I believe the Chiefs, they were in such a great position to make it to the Super Bowl last year, and they just came up ever so short.
And that was due to a questionable call at the end of the game.
All I know is I think the Chiefs will be on a mission, just like Lamar Jackson, but this will mean a lot more to the Chiefs. The Chiefs have more playoff experience, and coming off a win against Tom Brady, their morale would be boosted through the roof. I think they'll take away this game.
I'm just a big Lamar Jackson believer. I love his attitude.
Oh.
I love his talent. I think him in combination with Mark Ingram and their rookie running back, Justice Hill, I think he looked good in Week 17, despite them resting their starters. I think the Ravens will just pound the ball. And again, this is the key to them winning. The Chiefs' defense has looked great, but what's the best way to keep Patrick Mahomes from scoring? It's not giving him the ball. So I think you just take time off the clock, you pound the ball, and that'll keep Patrick Mahomes from getting onto the field and scoring points. And I think get that, and given the Ravens having a good defense, will make them victorious in the end of the game.
I will say the most hit quarterback this season, not sacked, hit quarterback, has been Lamar Jackson. That is troublesome. If he keeps doing that, I'm not sure how he's going to be in this game. If he gets injured, that'll be tough to overcome. They have nothing beyond him.
No, they do. Robert Griffin III is an amazing... No, I'm just joking. Yeah, you're right. I saw him take a couple terrible hits. The one in the Browns game was pretty brutal. He got lucky because the way he held the football during the hit actually cushioned him from getting it full on. But I think overall he's bigger than RG3, which lends to him being more sturdy. I also think he's very smart. He slides when he needs to. He runs out of bounds when he needs to. But again, him being a running quarterback does have an increased risk of him getting hurt. But I do not think that'll be a factor in this game.
Never did I think RG3 would outlast Andrew Luck in the NFL.
Yeah, okay, don't rub it in.
I do think the Chiefs will be great this game. I do think they also have a running game that's surprisingly good. And I will say Gus Edwards is probably the Ravens' third running back who has looked great. And, I love me some Florida boys. Lamar Jackson, MVP. I hate the Ravens, but he makes me like the Ravens. That is such a weird feeling you don't understand. But maybe that's why I picked the Chiefs.
Yeah,
F the Ravens.
Your bias is coming out.
Maybe.
Your AFC North.
Bias.
Is it the AFC North? What division are you guys in?
It is the AFC North.
Yeah. So
my bias may be coming out in the next game as well. Do you want to move on to the Saints and 49ers?
I think I know who you're going to pick in this game. And again, we'll have different picks here. I'm going to go with the Niners.
Say, brother, I am so conflicted. These are my two favorite quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
My Jimmy Garoppolo jersey just came in the mail today. I will say, one size too big. I'm kind of annoyed. But I've got to go with the Saints. Drew Brees has been effed over his entire career. This is his time. This is his moment. So essentially, you're predicting a rematch of the Colin Kaepernick, Joe Flacco Super Bowl.
Yeah, except with better quarterbacks.
Okay, ooh, a little shots fired over there. Alex Smith, don't sleep on that. Oh wait, did I say it? Yeah, Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, it's Colin Kaepernick and Joe Flacco. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Flacco. I hate Joe Flacco. Actually, I don't mind him now that he's on the Broncos. But I do think this is a rematch of the game where Drew Brees played the 49ers back when Alex Smith was their quarterback. Back when Drew Brees gave the Saints the lead not once, but twice in the fourth quarter. Yet the Saints defense could not stop them.
If I remember correctly, that game also had a couple very, very close plays. Is that the game where the ball grazed a player's knee on the return, if I remember correctly? It was a very close game. And again, it came down to some very close calls, which, more often than not go against Drew Brees.
And this is the year, I believe those calls, they'll still probably go against him. Everyone has a vendetta against Sean Payton and Drew Brees for some reason. I don't understand it. This is pissing me off. I think Jimmy Garoppolo will have plenty of time in his career to win more Super Bowls. He's already a 2-time Super Bowl champion, all because of himself, no, not because of any other quarterback. And Drew Brees, this is his time to shine. This is his time to cement himself in history. He's going to go on to the Super Bowl and play the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, you're wrong, and let me tell you why you're wrong. Have you heard of Nick Bosa?
Sure.
Yeah, he's gonna wreak havoc. I think Drew Brees is gonna be pressured the entire night, and Richard Sherman in the backfield is a field general. He'll have the secondary on point. It's gonna be a challenge for Drew Brees, and not only that, I think because of the Niners offense and how well balanced they are on both sides of the ball, I think overall they're more powerful on both sides of the ball. I may give the offense to the Saints, but I think given how much better the Niners defense is than the Saints defense, I think that's going to have an impact on this game. I think overall the better team is the Niners. I love both Drew Brees and Jimmy Garoppolo. This is not a comparison of them. I think if I had to choose a quarterback, it would be Drew Brees. I think he's better. But given what they have to work with, I'm going to take the Niners. You can't contain George Kittle. You can't contain their amazing running game, given, again, like we talked about, Mostert, Tevin Coleman, and Matt Breida. Again, these are three of the best running backs in the league. I don't know how the Saints will have an answer for that, given Emmanuel Sanders and Kittle on the offense as well. And again, Jimmy Garoppolo is more than capable of being a big-time quarterback in the biggest situations. And I think this just comes down to the Niners being a better team overall. So I'm going to have to give it to the Niners.
I'll tell you the answer to all those things. 2 names. Drew Brees.
That's one name.
This man is ultimately... Okay, Drew is a name. Brees is a name, all right? Just calm down. Drew Brees is the ultimate answer to any question in the NFL. It's not because of him that they've lost games in the postseason. Don't question me. Don't look that up either, because I'm probably wrong in some way, shape, or form. But I do think he will be the answer. You think he's scared of Nick Bosa? You think he's scared of Richard Sherman? He is not. He can definitely outplay any defense. He is matchup proof. I don't think they'll give him... I mean, they'll give him some trouble. I'm sure they'll get to him here and there. But the Saints' line has not been bad. I do think the Saints have a decent defense. I don't know if they'll be able to cover George Kittle at all. But I do think that the Saints have a more polished offense. The Saints have more, again, playoff experience than Jimmy G. I mean, he's been in the playoffs plenty of times. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Exactly, dude. What are you talking about? That's more rings than Drew Brees. Yeah.
However, Drew Brees is goated.
You said the Saints have a more polished offense. I would say, yeah, they know what they are. But again, I'm not going to take anything back. Shanahan has playoff experience as well. His Super Bowl experience is not the
experience losing a 28-3 lead.
Hey, you know what? That's probably a life lesson for him. He knows not to, he knows to run the ball if he has the lead now. At least I hope. But yeah, no, I think Shanahan and his offensive play schemes are going to be a big problem for the Saints defense, and I think that's the reason that the Saints won't be able to contain them. And again, it's a matter of who scores more in this game. I think this is going to be a shootout. But the fact that
are you saying that the team that scores more points will win this game?
Yeah, dude. I learned these lessons.
I did not know we had a special guest host from Booger McFarland.
Yeah, dude. He's my mentor, if you didn't know. Yeah, for sure. Again, it's going to be a shootout, but the Niners have a better defense. So, since the Niners will score more points, I think that means that they win the game. I don't know. I may have to ask Booger. But yeah.
You may have to ask the NFL referees
yes,
as well.
Exactly.
Suspect.
Okay, so speaking on that, you think this offensive or defensive PI is going to have any impact on this game?
I just hope that the refs call it straight. I just hope that it doesn't come down to a blown call, which I still have nightmares to this day. That was... How did they... I have -14 vision, I believe, something like that. I could have called that without my glasses on. I could have called that pass interference in the Rams-Saints game. That was the most obvious call that anyone could have made, yet it wasn't called. I don't understand.
Yeah, but if you think about it this year, when people have challenged PI, the refs have upheld it over 90% of the time. I don't think they implemented it just to appease the Saints, so... Let's hope.
Like I said,
yeah.
I don't know if it'll come down to a challenge. I want it to be called better. I don't know if anyone can outlast a blown call, anyone being a referee at this point. I think they'll be their whole job will be put on blast if they miss a call in this game against Sean Payton.
So, do you want to give a score for this game?
Oh, my Lanta. You caught me off guard there a little bit. Let's say... You go first. I have to think about this
I'm going to say the Saints are going to score 35, and the Niners are going to score 42. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think it'll be reminiscent of the game they played in the Superdome, And yeah, Niners come out top in a shootout game.
I'll say it'll be slightly lower scoring than that, just because the defenses are pretty decent this time around. I will say Drew Brees is going to come out on top, 35. I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo will be able to put up more than that. I'll say he puts up 20. I'll say he puts up 31.
31. Interesting. Okay.
It'll be a close one.
Okay. So this is where we disagree. And this means we have different Super Bowl matchups. So you want to talk about your Super Bowl matchup? Actually, let me guess. Let me guess who you think is going to win. I think it's going to be the Saints. Am I right?
Oh, how could you tell?
I don't know. Booger McFarland helped me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, wow. Maybe he does have some good calls. Yeah, I think the Saints will pull this one out. I really want to see Drew Brees win the Super Bowl. I said I got a Jimmy Garoppolo jersey. I also have a Drew Brees jersey on the way. I also have a Patrick Mahomes jersey on the way for my sister, who is a Chiefs fan.
Do you know
so that would be an interesting Super Bowl.
Do you know whose jersey is completely sold out right now?
I don't.
You cannot get a hand on it. Lamar Jackson's jersey. That thing is selling like hotcakes.
Oh, I can get a hand on it.
You think so?
Oh, of course. Just call China.
Okay. Nice.
I do. I think this will be an amazing Super Bowl. I would love to see this Kansas City versus New Orleans. I don't know where the Super Bowl is being held.
It's held in Miami this year.
Miami.
So again, the on-the-field factor will not be that big of a deal. So I think in that case, Drew Brees does have the advantage.
I love Drew Brees. I am not going to go against him, and I think he wins this Super Bowl. I think it'll be a shootout.
Okay.
These are the two premier offenses in the NFL. The model of consistency. These people get to the postseason, and they just can't get over the hump. And I think this is the year it happens. I think this is going to be a great Super Bowl. I can't wait to watch it. I'm going to be wearing my Drew Brees jersey. My sister's going to wear her Patrick Mahomes jersey. And I will be joyous at the end of the day with the Drew Brees Super Bowl MVP.
Okay, so you think it's you didn't have that much conflict in picking your winner in this game, right?
Not.
Oh man, for me this is a tough one. I mean, it's going to be the Ravens.
If you don't go with Jimmy Garoppolo,
and the 49ers.
I'm going to be mad.
So, who do you think I'm going to pick?
Ravens.
Who do you think? Oh, and you? I'm guessing you'd pick the Niners then.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna agree with you. It's going to be Ravens and Niners, and the Niners are going to come out on top. And here's why.
Okay.
I think Lamar Jackson is amazing, but I think that this Niners defense, I'm high on this Niners defense. I think they're going to be able to contain him enough. Nick Bosa is an athletic freak. I know Lamar Jackson outjukes anyone, but I think Nick Bosa has potential to keep him from wreaking too much damage, especially if he gets loose in the secondary. I think that's going to be a major factor. I think that Niners defensive line is one of the top in the league. I think that's going to contain the running game, which is, again, the best for the Ravens. I think this is going to be close. I was really conflicted with this one. I love Lamar Jackson. I love Jimmy Garoppolo. But I'm going to have to say the Niners come out on top in Miami, and they're the Super Bowl champs.
Do you have a score prediction for this game?
I don't know. I think this will be... I don't want to say shootout because both teams have respectable defenses, and, you know, the saying is defenses win championships. And in that case, the Niners have the better defense as well, in my opinion. I would say they both score in the mid-20s. I'll say Niners will win 28-24.
28-24.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It'll be within 4 points.
The Ravens did beat the Niners earlier this season, but that was Ravens' home. This is a neutral playing field.
Yes.
I don't think either quarterback did well in the air. I do remember Lamar Jackson tearing it up on the ground, but you know who else tore it up on the ground? Raheem the Dream.
Did.
I love that man.
I think Jimmy Jesus will come out on top. He's going to resurrect those 49ers, bring them back to the glory days. I also think Shanahan will have a vendetta, given how his last Super Bowl coaching experience went. I think he'll come out with an amazing game plan. He'll come out ready to go, and I think it'll also be an extra motivating factor to put the Niners over the top.
Well, I hope either you or I are right because I wouldn't mind either outcome.
Yeah, I mean, we both love Drew Brees and Jimmy Garoppolo. If either wins.
Of course, dude.
Honestly, out of all these quarterbacks, they're all very likable. I think I wouldn't mind any one of them winning. As long as it's not Tom Brady. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, super likable. We both love Jimmy Garoppolo, Drew Brees, and Lamar Jackson. So, you know what? I don't really have any personal stakes in any of these teams, being that I'm a Colts fan. But yeah, Niners on top.
Okay, both respectable. We almost had all the same predictions all the way through.
Yeah, and then it really deviated in the championship games.
On both championship games, I was torn. I literally went against my gut on both because both Baltimore and San Francisco will be home. That plays a big factor. So I'm picking both away teams to win in the championship game, which will be interesting.
Yeah, and I
think this will be a great playoffs.
And then again, we'll keep a tally. We'll see if we're right on our first picks with the wild card games. I think those are pretty easy to pick. That's why we were pretty much in 100% agreement there.
I definitely think we will have something wrong in the first round.
Do you think so? Okay, so out of the first round picks, which one are you the least certain on?
Texans and Bills.
You think so?
Yes, and even the Eagles and Seahawks.
Like you said, I'm the most uncertain on the Titans and Patriots. I think the Titans and Patriots, I don't know. Derrick Henry's a monster. He snatched the rushing title out of Nick Chubb's hands, who's my favorite running back, by the way. He should have gone over Sonny Michel. I don't know why he didn't in the draft. But yeah, I think that's a toss-up for me.
I believe he didn't go over because of their bowl game performances, right?
Sonny Michel just I don't know. If you looked at their overall workload, I think Sonny Michel had more carries. But Nick Chubb, just the eye test for me, he looked like such a better running back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch much college, so I have no clue. Yeah. I'm just spewing stuff right now.
But yeah.
I will say I am scared of the Vikings and Saints game. Some BS always. Drew Brees, I don't know what it is. That man attracts some crazy
I actually
stuff.
think that'll be an advantage for the Saints, given that they already know what happened last time. I think that'll be an extra motivation for them to pull through.
I don't care how motivated you are. When the football gods are against you, you're not winning. Listen, the most unlucky quarterback of all time. League's worst defense in NFL history. Next season, that defense gets even worse somehow. He had to watch as Stephon Diggs caught the ball and his cornerback whiffed him for the Minneapolis Miracle. He had to watch as his receiver got lit up before the ball even came, and the refs who had the greatest vantage point on the ball, on the play, not even flinch. He didn't even think about throwing a pass interference flag. He had to watch as Alex Smith carved out the Saints defense after Drew Brees gave them a lead again for the second time in the fourth quarter. I don't know, man. This man has had the worst luck. I think it's time for all that luck to turn around. It's like the Warriors effect. They've had the greatest luck. No injuries. Nothing happened. Then 1 year, everything just goes downhill at one instance.
Man,
this is going to be the opposite.
I think out of all the games, the hardest pick for me was that game, the Saints and the Niners. I think that's going to be, man, that was a close pick. And again, if I picked the Saints, I think I would have picked them to win the Super Bowl, regardless of if they played the Ravens or the Chiefs. But yeah, man, I'm going with the Niners.
I think my bias had the Saints winning all the way through regardless.
I'm sure they did. I predicted as much.
I think once Drew Brees retires is when Jimmy Garoppolo will start his dynasty.
You think so? You don't think...
Or now, I wouldn't mind right
now.
Now.
If you think about it, I mean, Patrick Mahomes has something to say about that. He's league MVP at such a young age. He can throw the ball nearly 80 yards down the field. I think he may win a couple Super Bowls too. So I think the next era is going to be dominated by these quarterbacks, these young guys, right? Lamar Jackson, Jimmy Garoppolo, Patrick Mahomes.
And yet I am picking the oldest one to come out on
Yes,
top.
you are. You are.
Well, besides Tom Brady. But
I think
he's just having
I
an
think Tom
unfortunate
Brady's era in
situation.
New England is done. I think this is the season they lose and they move on.
Do you think Tom Brady will come to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
No, I think Tom Brady will go to the Los Angeles Chargers. Either there or
they're going to get rid of Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers, I'm not a fan of. I think he's done. I think he's done
I
this year.
think he's okay.
No.
I think he's better than Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, how dare you? How dare you? Ryan Tannehill is a good quarterback. Way better than Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers has been a great quarterback.
Phillip Rivers had Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler to work with. Keenan Allen as well. Tyrell Williams. And what did he do? He had a terrible record this year.
Tyrell Williams, I believe, is on the
Oh, not
Raiders
Tyrell
this
Williams.
year.
Who's the... They had another tall receiver who's caught plenty of deep balls.
Mike Williams.
Mike Williams. Sorry, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I also had to think about that one.
So I don't know. I think Brady... Okay, so Brady either goes to the Chargers or he goes to the Titans. I think him and Mike Vrabel have a good connection, and I think he may go over there. Yeah.
I would want to see him on the Bucks.
I think Jameis Winston is a better quarterback than Tom Brady, and I'm not joking.
Wow. Yeah, if he eliminates all his turnovers,
He will be the best quarterback. If Jameis
all
Winston,
45 of them.
Okay, listen here. If he eliminates those turnovers, I will bet you money that the Buccaneers will make it deep into the playoffs. I'll say they make it to the NFC Championship.
Well, I'll agree. Of course he's good. They're going to make... If they had 7 wins... I love Jameis Winston. They had 7 wins despite 45 turnovers by Jameis Winston alone. They would have minimum 13 wins if he eliminated all 45 of those turnovers. That offense is potent. That secondary just needs to be fixed, and they will be definitely playoff contenders with 45 turnovers from Jameis Winston.
Yeah, Jameis Winston, the GOAT. I think we should end it there. Jameis Winston is the GOAT.
All right, I guess let's just end it there. Thank you for listening to the 1ND podcast. Those were our predictions for the NFL playoffs. Peace.
Peace out.